And there we go. Okay, so welcome to Husker Huddle. I cannot believe, one, it's Friday, and I can't believe we're on week 7, and I can't believe that week 8 is next week. I don't know. I just don't understand why things are going so fast, but they certainly are going very, very fast. Hi, Nathan. How are you? Hi, Nate. How are you? He's got his red on. Good job. So how did your week go last week with your knitting? Let's talk knitting first, and then we'll talk about that game. Oh my gosh. Wasn't it fabulous? Yeah. How'd your knitting go this past week? Good. Got a little show and tell. Are we all caught up?
No.
No? Yes. So, hey, Anne, that looks great.
I love this. I just love the whole thing, but I really love this, that it's just, the halfway point basically. And the way that it's, both, I just love it.
And you did all red, didn't you?
Yeah.
Fabulous. It looks great. I love the diamond. That was fun, wasn't it?
It was.
Okay, good. Who else has a little show and tell? Sarah, you did your diamond too.
Nice.
Okay. Oh my God.
Ooh, it really stands out in that.
Oh, that is fabulous. It does stand out in that. Diana, you're doing 3 colors, right? Yep. Okay. Very good. Well, congratulations, everyone. It is week 7. This one is very repetitious. So I know the game is gonna be, there's volleyball tomorrow night and there's football on Saturday. Who are they playing for volleyball? Does anybody know tomorrow night?
Penn State. It's tonight, and it's Penn State.
Oh, it is tonight.
I think it's tonight.
Friday.
Oh, yes. I know. Yeah. It has been that kind of a weekend.
Oh, well, that's
a lot of us.
That's a big game then. Penn State. Yeah, big game. So big game tonight for volleyball, big game tomorrow night for football. So the pattern this week is very repetitious. Look, let's see, Robin. Let's see yours. Oh, fabulous. Oh my gosh. I love the red and white.
I know. I'm just a couple weeks behind, but
that's okay.
But I'm waiting for that bye week.
Well, it's coming.
Catch up.
Not next week, but the following week. Sandra, let's see yours.
I'm a week behind too. My 4-year-old broke his nose last Friday in school, so I've been doing my sock in the hospital room a few times.
Oh my God. What did he do? Run into a wall?
He was dragging around a jump rope and a girl stepped on it and he fell nose first into a tree stump. So trip to the ER, and I didn't even have my knitting with me.
Oh my gosh.
We were there for a couple hours, like mostly waiting. I should have had my knitting.
Sorry, Nate. We have to talk a little knitting.
Sorry.
That's okay. Good. Lori, did you have something you wanted to show? Lori from New Jersey, who's now becoming a Husker fan.
Well, I live in Nebraska now, but
yes, I know. That's true. That's true. Oh, I love it. I love the diamond. So good looking. Really, really good looking. Well, congratulations. So next week then is week 8, and then we have a bye week. So typically there's kind of a bye week earlier in the season, and this year the bye weeks kind of are stacked up at the end of the season. And so bye week means catch-up week. And so next week you'll get one more pattern, and then after that you'll have a week to catch up. So or just knit or do whatever you want. So next week you'll still get a pattern. Next week we'll still have Husker Huddle, and then that following week we'll take the Friday off and just all catch up. So as you know, we're kind of talking all things Nebraska, and Robin is a customer here at Knit Paper Scissors, and I happen to know about her son, Nate. And so I just said, Robin, would Nate be willing? So Robin, I'm going to let you introduce Nate. Whoop. Can't hear you.
I'm excited to have my son talk today, just because he is part of my knitting as he helps me move it around and laughs at all my mini projects that I have started. And yeah, so he's the 4th child that I have, and started I had 2 girls that were on the dance team, and he followed up with being a mascot and finished out the Nets family. So he's in law school now, and so he's a busy guy.
Yes, you are.
So
So
Nate,
you get to tell us a little bit. How did you get interested in what was the process of becoming a mascot?
Sure. Can everybody hear me okay? All
Yeah.
good. So I started college at UNL in would have been 2016. And like my mom mentioned, two of my sisters were on the dance team. And so I knew who the mascots were when they were on the team. And then my freshman year, I recognized a member of my fraternity kind of stood in the same corner. And I finally just confronted him about it and was like, hey, Matt, what are you doing in the corner? Like, are you a mascot? And he was alone. And he was really mad at first because he hadn't told anybody. And so it's Matt Foley. His dad is the lieutenant governor of Nebraska. And so he hadn't told his dad anything. He didn't tell his parents this whole year. Like he went through and told nobody, didn't tell his girlfriend. And he just kind of was saying he was gone. So pretty much explained to me like it was Batman. And he lived this kind of double life. So he told me about it, and that was kind of the end of the conversation. And then a couple months passed, and he had realized that they would need a couple more mascots to go for the next season. So he asked me if I was interested, and at that point I had known the coach from my sister, so I reached out and we had a little conversation, and then that's kind of how it all started. I guess I'll talk a little bit about fun things I got to do while doing it, and then I'm sure we'll have some questions, as most people do. So some highlights: I've gotten to do events at the College World Series, College Game Day. I've gone to both the men's and both the men's and women's Big Ten basketball tournaments. Unfortunately, I hit the 3-year window where we didn't have any bowl games, so I couldn't go to any of those. But still got to go to. I went to the away games for football at Michigan, Wisconsin, Maryland, and I think that's it. So had a lot of fun experiences with that. Got to meet a lot of cool people. Mason Ramsey, who is the Yodel boy from Walmart, who he sung the national anthem at the spring game. I also got to meet Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade. I think I'm spacing on the name, but he's an actor. He's in a couple movies and a TV show. He's from Omaha. I think his first name's Nick. It might be Nick Devine, but anyway, the name is fleeing me, but got to meet him as well. So yeah. So if anyone has any questions.
Let's see, how many different mascots are there? The old guy, or the one I would have remembered with the head, right?
Yeah.
And so tell me how many there are.
Yeah, so I think to start it was Harry Husker, and then that lasted for up until the 90s, and then they kind of rebranded and it became Herbie Husker. And then so currently Nebraska is one of the few colleges that has multiple mascots. So we have Little Red and then Herbie Husker. So to do each one, there's different things that are required. Usually Little Red, the people are a little bit shorter because to do the headstand, you have to be able to turn around in the suit. Which if you're 6'2", 6'1", and above, it's pretty tough. And so I'm kind of a blessing and a curse. I'm about 5'10", 5'11", so I'm tall enough to do Herbie, but short enough to do Little Red. So there's a couple of times where I had the football game, I did Herbie, and then went to the volleyball game after to do Little Red. So it was cool because I was able to do both. So when opportunities came about, I was able to do pretty much whatever if they needed it.
So how many, obviously you didn't do everything because the mascot is at every event pretty much, aren't they? Do they go to like gymnastics and baseball or is it just more specific sports?
Yeah, so the main ones are football, basketball, both women's and men's, and then volleyball are kind of the staples. And then between wrestling, gymnastics, like you mentioned, baseball, softball, they'll try to do maybe a couple a year, but it's pretty hard when you have that many events. And there's also stuff outside of just sporting events, fundraising. They'll do like a coaches tour. They'll take Fred Hoiberg, Scott Frost, Amy Williams to smaller communities in Nebraska. And they usually try to drag a mascot out there too. So, yeah.
So then how many times did you do it in a week? Or was that a sign-up sheet, or did you just get, they called you and said, are you available?
Yeah. So when I was on the team, there was 4 of us usually. There at one point there was 5. And
Oh,
then, so that was kind of nice. So it wasn't too bad ever, but it got to a point where everyone knew each other's schedules. So I didn't have class most Fridays because I was in the College of Business, and that's just how the schedules are set up there. Is freshmen will have classes on Fridays, but upperclassmen usually have Fridays off because that's just how the college operated. So I would do the noon Canes appearance downtown. So we went to downtown Canes on a Husker Friday, or before Husker game day on Saturday. That Friday they'll have Herbie at Canes, or they used to at least.
oh, fun.
So it's all availability. You get a scholarship, so it is expected that if you can, they'd like you to be there. However, school, they understand the conflicts there, and then they try to work around other activities you're involved in at UNL.
How nice. So, tell me how you turn that costume around. It always, you have to, what do? You turn, I don't know. You have to explain it.
Yeah, so people think we get questions all the time, like, how do you guys stay in a handstand that long?
Yeah.
So you pretty much lay down, and then you just kind of get on your hands and knees and spin around, and then you put your feet where the head is, and then you pull up the costume, and there's a tube that pulls in air from the outside, and that's how Little Red stays inflated. So if you get that tube kinked, you start to lose air, and then it just looks like a sad grocery bag. So you have to make sure to turn the opposite way in which you turn the start, so you don't get the tube twisted, and then you're out in the middle of this field deflated, which we practice occasionally. So we never had that happen, luckily, while I was there. But a couple times in practice, you definitely get caught up and you're stuck, and then
Yeah,
it's always pretty defeating when you have to get out of there in that point. So
now my question also is it hot in those costumes?
yeah, so Herbie Husker, it's like wearing a sweatshirt and sweatpants no matter what heat you're in. So
Oh,
the summers is pretty tough. In the winters, it's nice. And the Little Red is the tough one because it pulls out whatever air is on the outside. So if it's hot outside, it's hot inside. And then if it's cold outside, it's freezing inside. So
wow.
yeah, during the winter games, or if it's cold and it's 32 degrees out, you get 32 degrees of air just blowing in your face. And so that one, you have to wear like a sweatshirt, sweatpants, and you're still pretty cool. Where Herbie, you can be out pretty much 10 degrees and you're comfortable. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Cool. What questions do you guys have? Everything you've always wanted to ask. Sarah, what do you have?
Dead meat there. So do you learn choreography then, or is it just like a bunch of freestyle? How does that work?
That's a great question. So part of it is there's some things that each character kind of does. So the headstand, Little Red flicks the bill of his hat. There's a string that's attached to his nose. So it's little things like that everybody, if you've interacted with them, can kind of pick out and remember. Herbie, it's the walk. You try to have the same walk as everybody else. So it's not obvious that I'm in the suit or another kid's in the suit. It's Herbie's in it rather than, oh, I can tell. And we all know because we just are used to it. But it's always funny because we like stress on that. And then the average person probably has no clue. Like there's someone different. They just think it's the same person, which some schools do that. Penn State, the Nittany Lion that does their stuff, that's his full-time job. So he gets a full ride. So you don't get a full ride in Nebraska. It's a smaller scholarship, where Penn State, you do over 360 events a year. And
Wow.
it's usually you do it for 4 years. So they have a guy that does it for 4 years and that's done. So
Oh my gosh, that's like a full-time job.
yeah, probably more. It's
Yeah.
to do that many events, because to give you perspective, I would probably spend maybe 6 hours a week doing it as one of 5, and we don't do as many events as Penn State would do. So they were probably spending upwards of 40 hours a week, maybe even 50, 60 during the football season, just doing events.
Wow.
So
Wow. Great
yeah,
question.
most of it's kind of improv. I mean, there's conversations that are definitely awkward. You're not allowed to speak. So you have to try to explain kind of what you're thinking. And that's not always easy with somebody people can get really frustrated easily if you're not explaining things as well as you can. So
Because you just would have to explain with gestures, right? Or nod your head.
yeah, and it's tough when you don't have like your eyes don't move, your head doesn't move.
All these things. I wouldn't even have thought. Sue, what question do you have?
Well, I have two, if that's okay.
It is okay. Absolutely.
Number one is how well can you see out of that? I mean, can you see a little child on the ground, or is your viewing point lower? I've never been up close to
Yeah,
Little
so
Red.
so for Little Red, yeah, no, you're fine. There's vents that you can see through. So there's one that runs down the middle. You have one on the back, so you can turn around in the suit. It's just a matter of there's Velcro straps, but I never used them because I just point my toes up to carry my feet. Where if you keep them outside of the Velcro, you can turn around and see whatever. So Little Red's tough because you have some blind spots and you're a 8 foot tall inflatable, so you do bump into some people. Herbie, you see out of the mouth, so that one you can definitely knock over a couple infants or kids that are walking around, which you learn pretty quickly that you look down to see, and to take photos you have to look at people's feet, because if you look up as if you're looking through the mouth, the head is tilted up. So
Interesting.
yeah.
And then I wondered if anybody's ever pushed you around
Yeah, so
know,
you also do,
after they've had plenty to drink.
yeah, you do weddings as well. So that's always interesting because you're allowed to rent Herbie for your wedding. So big donors will have Herbie at their wedding. Former dance team and cheer team members will have mascots there. And so occasionally you do get some people that, whether the big thing for middle-aged women is spanking.
Oh,
So Herbie has thigh pads, butt pads, and they are awfully tempted to give each mascot a spank, which is not encouraged and is not usually appreciated. So that's usually the coach is with you too. So I never had an issue where I felt unsafe in it, but when you're away at some games, you have some fans that yell at you, and I don't think I've ever been pushed, but definitely,
Harassed.
yeah, a
Verbally
little bit.
harassed. A little.
Nate, tell them about your Hy-Vee experience in Omaha.
Yeah, so I had an appearance where they took me to Omaha to go to each Hy-Vee, and there's like I think we went to 3 or 4, and I had to stay at each Hy-Vee for about an hour. And as you're aware, no one wants to be messed with when they grocery shop, right? Like you get frustrated when you see someone you know because it takes longer. The last thing really anyone wants is to be interacted with by a mascot. And the marketing team's idea was to have like Herbie go to Hy-Vee and help people grocery shop. On paper, it might seem like a decent idea. In the real world, it's a really bad idea. And then it gets even worse. I think we lost to Purdue that following Saturday. So this was a Sunday, and we lost to Purdue that Saturday. And I just got, people said some pretty mean stuff, obviously. I had a woman probably in her 80s tell me to bury my head. People express their frustration with me as if I have really a big play in how the game goes or any coaching decisions that are made. And for whatever reason, some people think they take that up with Herbie first, which is not the case.
What? Have you had any other kind of moment, like you fell down or anything like that?
So yeah, I had one. So usually everyone kind of has one thing that they can point out that like that was embarrassing. I fortunately just had the one. Some people have more. When you so you also run the flag. So after people score, you run the big flag. One kid before I was there hit the field goal post running by, and luckily didn't do anything. It just was kind of embarrassing in front of 90,000 people. I had during tunnel walk, I was in Little Red, and it's really easy because the feet are pretty flat and you have to point your toes, and my toe just got tripped. And so on that tunnel walk, it's just carpet on cement. And so we were walking through, and it was before the team and players all walk out. And I fell hard. I got tripped up and on the concrete. I was looking up. I tripped hard, loud enough to where during all the yelling and screaming that the fans have during that time, Herbie heard, and he turned around and saw me. And so we kind of have some emergency situations that we have. So if you fall and you're in Little Red, you deflate your costume, and then you go through the routine of like being resuscitated. So you give like a heartbeat, and then if Herbie's by you, he gives you some chest compressions to basically bring you back to life, and then you reinflate the suit. So luckily the two of us had done it enough together that when I fell, he turned around, made a big expression, ran up to me like he's giving me medical care. And no one knew that it was completely my fault that I just fell. They thought like we had planned that out, when really I just tripped and I fell really hard. It was pretty painful, but
Oh, well, you know what? When I watch any event now, I'm going to have a different view. I'm going to look at things differently, Nate.
yeah.
Wow. Any other questions for Nate while we've got him?
Seriously, have you ever considered knitting?
That is a great question. I think my mom does enough knitting for our whole family. So
Oh, wait a minute. Tell them about in junior high when you knitted Kara a scarf.
Oh,
so
Or it was crochet maybe.
I think my mom carried most of the weight there, but I did help a couple rows crochet a scarf for my girlfriend that I don't think she still has. So
well, in law
sometimes-
school, you're going to need release. So it's
Yeah.
a good one.
Exactly.
Good question.
I have one more. I wondered what was the most fun? Was it football, basketball?
Yeah.
So football games are pretty long, and that would be my only complaint there is you have to be there 4 hours before the game,
Oh, wow.
because we have the same scholarship as the dance and cheer teams. So as far as being fair to them, they have a lot more appearances, and thankfully they don't have us go to most of those, because if it's a really hot game, that's a lot to ask to be in a sweaty suit for more than a couple hours. So Husker games, you're there for 4 hours before the game, usually the 3.5 hours during the game. And then you sometimes can be the first one to leave if you're not in the suit and you get everything cleaned up that needs to be. But occasionally you do get out of the stadium a little bit later. So my senior year when college game day was in Lincoln. The game was at 7 p.m. We had to be at the stadium at like 6 o'clock. I think 5:45 was the report time, but she told us like just get there at 6 and you guys are fine. So I was there from 6 until about 11 o'clock at night. So it was just a very long day, and we have some couches back there, but between 5 of us, it's a little tight. So basketball was about the game time, and then you had to be there about an hour before. So there's more basketball games, so there's a little bit more to do and a little bit more weight to carry. But football, your whole Saturday is pretty much taken up. And during school, sometimes it's not always the most ideal situation. But like I said, basketball, you have more, but it's also less time. So it's not so much of a obligation as football is.
Sarah?
Sorry. How do you hydrate then? Like, are you allowed? You obviously can't like take off your.
Yeah. So
You have
Herbie,
water bottles in Herbie or in Little Red.
in Little Red, you for sure you can bring whatever you want. So I'd bring my phone in there sometimes. Yeah, because at volleyball you can't be in the line of sight of any fan, so you get tucked into the corner, right? And so during the game, it's no one sees me, so I'll respond to my mom's text or whatever it is during that. And then so I'll have a water bottle in there if it's hot. You just have to have a sweatshirt or something that holds it. where Herbie, you'll see them rotate in quite a bit. You'll see him go inside, and that's most likely what he's doing, is getting a drink. So
Nate, tell them the time when Little Red caught on fire.
I didn't actually catch on fire.
Well, close.
So they have a company that sends out the inflatables, and in the Little Red inflatable, we just got a new one, and there was some problem with the transportation. It might have gotten like squished or whatever, but there's a plastic piece where the fan rotates, and basically got compressed to where the fan was turning into the plastic part, which released a burning and smoke kind of reaction. So it was at the Firethorn Country Club in Lincoln, and I was there for an appearance where Scott Frost was basically presenting to reporters, or not reporters, to supporters and donators. And during that time, I'd gotten in the suit and I inflated it. I'm like, it doesn't smell quite right. Then I like opened up the suit and I saw the smoke rise. And so I called my coach and I'm like, something's not going on. Like, something's wrong here. And she came in, she's, yeah, you're done. So go home, which was part of the best news I had gotten, because it was during the summer and I live clear out Southeast Lincoln. So the suit is housed in Memorial Stadium. So I had to go all the way down to Memorial Stadium, back out to Southeast Lincoln to the Firethorn Country Club to basically get told I didn't have to do it. So a little bit of driving, but it's better than staying there for a couple hours at that event.
Well, we're glad you didn't catch a fire, Nate.
Same here.
I'm sure your experiences are going to serve you well in your new career at law school and your potential life choices, that there will be parts that you will take with you into your life. And we wish you well on your next. So are you a first year law student then?
I'm in my second year. So I started last year during COVID, and then I have about 7 weeks left of this semester. Then I have just a year and a half left. So
Oh, great.
May of 2023, I'll be done, hopefully.
Proud mom moment.
Well, yes, it will be. You know, I forgot to also say he was also on the scout team for the girls basketball.
Oh,
So how many hours did you have with that? Like 400 or something?
By the time, because I did it for 4 years, so I had about 400 volunteer hours just practicing with the girls basketball team. So
mhm. Wow. Well,
And people don't realize when you do that, that counts against eligibility. So if he wanted to go try out for a team or whatever, he'd have 1 year left.
I'll be
I'm
darned.
also 24, so I think my
I was trying to talk him into going and trying out for the kicking position. He was a kicker in high school. He looked at me, he goes, Mom, I'd only have 1 year left.
That's okay.
Might be 1 year of the best year of your life. I don't know. A lot of Husker gear, right?
I think that is a secondary point to the fact that I am 24 and no longer in shape to where I could perform really any athletic duty.
I think after the first several games, Nate, they would have taken a 24-year.
Anybody?
Now, last week he redeemed himself with that 80-some
Yeah.
yard punt. So what a treat this has been. Thank you so much. Again, I'll never look at Herbie or Little Red again. I have a better appreciation for that. We're getting cheers and claps. So still, Nate, thank you. We'll give him high fives. Yeah. Thank you. Good luck to you this year. And Robin, thanks for saying, yeah, he'll do it. Just what moms do. We commit you. And we appreciate that, Nate. We really do. It's very fun. So thank you, everyone. It's going to be a great weekend. And we'll see you next Friday. Okay. Thanks a bunch. Bye-bye. Oh.